It's really good to know. Oh, now also it's on YouTube. Okay. So if we want to transform our mind, we really need to know what's going on. And we need to be able to check it, watch it, without judging, just to see, just to notice, just to be aware. And this is something that can be trained. So if you can sit with a straight back, that would be very helpful. If it's not possible, then
okay.
If it is not possible, it's fine. And the first thing, the first object of awareness is always the body. So usually we go with body posture. Sometimes when people say, oh, I can't meditate, my mind is too busy, it goes left and right. All you need to do is, like, take something that is easily findable, because it could be that sometimes even the breath is too subtle. So find the body posture that you are, what the body is doing, that one. So just put your awareness on the body is sitting. It's as simple as that. And then whenever it goes away, just bring it back. Sometimes we are too ambitious and we don't take into consideration like the day that we had or in what mind state we are. And then we take an object that is very subtle. And then when we are very agitated from what just happened before or what will happen in the future, and then, the mind slips away all the time. So take something that is more solid and more easy to find. It's just a suggestion, right? Because all of you meditate. So it's also good that you learn, and you learn and you see, what do I need right now? Is it okay to take something subtle? In-breath, out-breath. Is that too subtle? Do I take the body posture? Or am I so calm and so open and so spacious, I can take the nature of the mind, for example? All these are objects of awareness. I leave you for the next maybe 7 minutes to try to keep your object, whatever it is, be it the nature of the mind, in-breath, out-breath, body posture, like sitting or leaning if you're leaning, or even walking if you're too nervous just to sit. If you're lying down, the body posture would be lying down, which is usually not such a good way, but the way we sit with a straight back, this is the most conducive posture for the mind to be aware and to become clear and stable. If you need to lie down, then of course danger is you fall asleep. But we can be aware of the body lying. Main thing is that you feel comfortable with your object so that the mind can get familiar with it. And that you are relaxed, not wanting too much here, giving a bit of pressure, and the mind moves away all the time, but not seeing it as a failure and not squeezing too hard. The Buddha said it's like tuning a guitar, or he said a veena, some kind of guitar. Okay, so we can do some contemplation again, getting in touch with our yearning, or as Shantideva was saying, or we were kind of thinking about these 4 powers. For enthusiasm is our aspiration. What do I really want? Pulling, yearning. And be realistic. Like, it could be $1 million shekel, or it could be a new car, or another husband, or another wife. But it's really good when we touch that yearning, it's really good to see what kind of values do I have. It could be yearning for goodness, for purity. It's good that you put your own labels or your own names on it, and that you feel it. Don't stay up in the head, go down to your heart. Because this will be our compass. And then when I say, be realistic, then try to see, do we have the possibility to live these values? Like, we all have values, but then, spontaneously living them, a little bit more difficult. So we have to be aware that for transformation, we have to work. We have to do something. From nothing comes nothing. That whatever is kind of going against our values, like when we behave not the way we want to behave, but because the way like we habitually behave, then it needs effort. I'm pretty sure all of you know the Lamrim, and all of you know, the topic on precious human rebirth, and I think we don't think about that enough. We kind of get stuck in our problems and all the things we cannot do. And we don't see that because we have this precious human rebirth, we have so many possibilities. We have so many resources that we can tap into. Most of them are inside, like our values that we want to live, our natural spaciousness, our natural goodness that very often we have access to, and our natural intelligence. Then we also have like outside resources, our teachers, our gurus, who not only teach us, but they live what they teach. And I don't mean me, okay? I really mean like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, that even though he's got a lot of problems because he has to guide a people who has lost their country, but look at him. And he's not just concentrating on the Tibetans. He's giving us all these wonderful methods available for everybody who wants to take them. And if you have a guru, then also it's really good to think about that person as often as you can, because it opens up your heart. Because then there is natural gratitude, joy, respect, devotion, devotion to this path that gives us very precise methods how to transform our mind so that we can live our values spontaneously, uninterruptedly, and best of all, effortlessly. It's really, really helpful, especially for the coming verses now here, that we trust our potential. That yes, we have moments where we're guided by anger or attachment, or jealousy, or self-concern, or whatever. But when we come down and when we relax, then we have a very good antidote against these unhelpful mental states, which makes us do things and say things that we don't really want to do. So just check, why am I here? Why am I listening to these teachings? Not just me, like I'm sure you listen to many other teachings. It wouldn't be good if you would just be listening to me. That wouldn't be enough. But it's good to be very clear. Temporary happiness, like happiness for this life, yes, that can be a side effect. But very often it's not worthwhile the effort that we have to make in order to transform the mind. But to see, for example, again and again and again, the disadvantage of being under the control of attachment, greed, anger, depression, fear, like unreasonable fear, self-concern, to see the disadvantages of that. And that all these emotions or afflictive emotions or delusions or however you want to call them, all these kleshas are mind, yes, but they're not really natural mental states. That's why they feel so uncomfortable and they totally distort. So the yearning to be free from being under the control of these kleshas, this will make us bear the hardships that sometimes we have to take, or the boredom, especially in meditation, or the boredom of hearing the same things again and again and again and again. As long as we can't live our values yet, effortlessly and spontaneously, we might have understood in the head, but we haven't understood in the heart. So I don't know if you remember the second of these four forces, which was steadfastness, kind of not giving up. And the most dangerous thing in our Dharma practice is when we give ourselves the choice to give up. I think we really have to be aware, if we want to have lasting happiness, if we want to be free from being under the control of these negative emotions, we have no choice but to work with the mind. Yeah, it will take a long time, doesn't matter. The aspiration, knowing what we want, and then the continuous, just, going step by step, sometimes taking a break, but never giving it up completely. That will then produce the fourth factor, the third one, which is joy. All of a sudden we see that, wow, this works. My negative emotions start to diminish. Don't get hung up on the things that you cannot do yet, but also look at your successes. Even if it's just a little bit less anger, a little bit less jealousy, and we can rejoice with somebody. A little bit less aversion or whatever. Then we concentrate on the joy by seeing, wow, this works. And then the first of these 4 factors to create joyful effort or enthusiasm is moderation. Don't overdo it. Don't burn out. So it's really good to know these tools that we need on the path. And then we need to have the wisdom to know when to apply them. And that only comes through awareness. Okay. Now, did you remember these 4 factors for enthusiasm? Because that was the 2 weeks homework, wasn't it? A little bit to nourish these forces. I mean, just to know them and just to remember them can help to see that we're going in, I don't want to say in the wrong direction, but just to know them, we kind of see that sometimes we're not going in the right direction, isn't it? Okay, now I have to warn you again, because I see a few new people. Dorit, I don't know you. You are, I think, new. Also, Orit, I'm not sure if you have been participating. So maybe if you're not familiar with the text, it's not a good moment to join, because we're going to, Shantideva is bashing himself for not doing enough. So, you know, also, don't forget, this is a book, right? This is quite it's quite a complex text. And when we just take something out of it and we just look at it just like that, we lose the context. So actually, until now, with enthusiasm, he talked a lot about our potential to be totally free from all negative emotions. And yes, he also talks that it takes effort, but he's talking about the joy that comes as we develop bodhicitta. And it is a text to develop bodhicitta. Bodhicitta, the mind who really knows that I want to attain full awakening, because why? Because I want to be of benefit to others. And this wish to help others and this wish to be of benefit to others, when we are in our right mind, it's very natural. For example, so Edouard was cooking. Have you cooked, finished? Prepared the food? And definitely Elisheva, is she still here?
Yes.
Yeah, Elisheva is sitting. Look at how happy she is. So she's happy because she didn't cook for herself. Like if you would have cooked for yourself, you wouldn't look like this. She cooked for her son, who is in the army and who will probably come back today. So you see, we limit ourselves, and it's good that we limit ourselves at the moment to just these few people, because otherwise we would go totally crazy and burn out because we're not spacious enough. But the point is, or like the goal of the practice is to have this spontaneous wish And whatever you can do for others that you're not attached to, doesn't have to be your son, can be anybody, that it produces the same kind of joy. Yeah. Because we do, especially at the moment, I think, when we see so many people suffering. Yeah. So that we feel kind of helpless. We have the wish to be able to change something in them, and to maybe sometimes even, take them by the shoulders and shake them and say, why don't you let go of these wrong views, or something like that. Have you ever had that feeling that you wanted to really to tell somebody, come on, you just need to think in a different way? And it's not that the problem will go away, but it will not be so difficult anymore. But no way. Yeah. They don't listen. The same way as we don't listen to others, by the way, isn't it? If we're really honest. Yeah. How many good advices have you already received? Many or not many? How many people have you met that when you were depressed or frightened or, angry at somebody, and they wanted to help you to get rid of that anger? How many times did you listen to that? How many times has it helped? How many times did you allow other people to help you? So for the people who are new, right, this is a discussion group. This is why I keep asking questions. And then somebody opens the microphone, whoever wants to say something, and says something. You don't have to agree with me, okay? You can be totally not agreeing with me. That's absolutely fine. That is part of a discussion group.
I think I can say something.
Yeah.
Maybe many years ago, or maybe several years ago, I wasn't so open to listen to the advices of others. But I think by practicing a lot, I think I think it's an issue of getting stronger inside. And once you get stronger inside, you are more open to accept criticism and advices, even criticism. It depends how I think it is said, and if it's come from a good place.
Okay, so Dina says criticism, it depends how it is said. I don't think so. I think it depends how we look at it. Like, for example, if you go see a doctor and you pay money, and he criticizes you and he tells you, oh, your liver is really bad, or whatever, you don't see it as criticism. You see it as a help, by the way. Yeah. But you're totally right. What you're saying is that again, here we go back to the aspiration. If we know what we want to grow. We want to not be under the control of our negative emotions anymore. But the problem with us is like, we're kind of attached to praise and, the word criticism. Nobody likes it, and we don't see it as a help. It needs a lot of awareness to see it as a help. And we immediately get defensive, like our ego doesn't like it. And we only allow people to do it. Only certain people are allowed to tell us what we should do. So actually, in the Sangha, we have, but we also don't do it, what we should do it, is when sometimes we have to say something to somebody else who sounds like criticism because they behave in a certain way, especially if you live in a community where each one is kind of depending on each other. Which we all do. Actually, we all live in communities. We all depend on each other, how we behave. We just think we're individuals. We are not. We cannot survive as an individual. So anyway, so it should go like this. It's like when you see something and you have to say something to somebody, say, listen, I think something, I see something, or I suspect something. So when you add I suspect, you already signal to the other that you're also kind of ready to hear from them that this is not right. Okay, so you say, I think something, I see something, I suspect something. Can I tell you now? Are you ready to listen? Is it okay to tell you now? And the person can say no if they're not in a good mood, or they don't have time, or they don't want you to tell them, and then that's it. Then you don't touch it anymore. Or the person comes a bit later and say, oh, by the way, what did you want to say? So I think that would be a very good way, because then we would allow somebody to tell us, and then it wouldn't feel like criticism. Yeah. But we ourselves, coming back to this, we ourselves, we do have to wish to help others to be happier people. And that wish is very natural, isn't it? But sometimes we're too clumsy, or unless your Netta just disappeared behind the N, because she's a therapist, and I'm pretty sure many of you others maybe also. So, you know, if you're not a therapist, sometimes your advice is not so welcome, right? So then we have to be a little bit careful when we do this. And I think we are especially careful, or we know how to be careful when we turn it around. When you see, as Dina was saying, that, you know, sometimes we're also not open to hear when other people want to help us. Sometimes we don't see it as help, especially if it is said with anger. But then again, you know, it's like, we're Israelis, and I think I know Israel kind of. I have how to say, I've come to know Israel good enough, maybe I'm wrong, that whatever sounds like anger is not necessarily anger in Israel. If it would be said like this in Switzerland, everybody would go like, oh, you know. But then there is a little bit different. People are a little bit rougher, and it's not good, it's not bad, it's just the way it is, right? So like what I usually say to people in Switzerland when they complain about the aggressiveness of Israelis, I say, yeah, okay, people in Switzerland, we're very polite, but when you need help, not necessarily somebody will come. Whereas in Israel, it's really quite easy to find help in the street, you know, from strangers or whatever. So if I have a choice between being polite and getting help, I take the help. Thank you very much. But you need to know, right? So that you don't immediately kind of close up and lock up. And of course, these are generalities. I'm not talking about everybody's like this. Everybody is ready to help. But in general, if you need help, Israel is a better country to get help from strangers than in Switzerland. So like that. Yeah. So we have to need to, yes, sure.
But also, I think maybe a part of Bodhichitta, I think so, but I'm not sure I'm right, is really, if you want to help someone, first of all, you don't have to, it's not good to come from like, I know better than you. And secondly, also to be wise enough to know how to approach the person. For example, if I want to help to talk to someone in Switzerland, maybe I have to approach him in a different way than I would approach an Israeli.
Yeah, don't be pushy. That's not working. You have to be very humble and very polite. Yeah, I was coming to that. This is what I was trying to get at. We have this wish to help, but then we don't have the tools and we don't have the skills. And this is the second part of bodhicitta. Like the first one, I think we have. You know, I mean, we're not talking about people who are not listening here. We're not talking about people who are not practicing any spiritual practice. I'm talking about us. Yeah, we have a spontaneous, very natural wish to be of benefit to others. But we are limited in our resources and in our wisdom and even with our compassion. So this is why we have to become fully awakened in order to have the skills, knowing how to help others and in order to know how to approach people, or how to also leave them alone and not to touch it, that they are not ready to, you know, to get something. So this is why, so this text actually is for people who want to become enlightened, not for themselves only, but in order to be able to live that wish to be of benefit to others. And here now the big step is, in order to be of benefit to all others, now not everybody at the same time, but in order to, you know, whoever comes there, not, oh, this one, it's okay, you can still kind of choose, this one needs it more than the other one, because sometimes they have to choose. But it's not, this one I like, therefore I help, and this one I don't like. This one deserves my help, and this other one doesn't. You would have a mind that is totally equanimous. So many of you are familiar with this. So I don't know about Dorit and Orit, if you are familiar with this as well. You know, this whole thing about an open heart towards all sentient beings, even if they are really harmful, and even if they hurt a lot of people, you still want them to have happiness, you still want them to be free from suffering, because you understand that they hurt others. Why? Because they're not happy. And because they don't know better. Yes, Dorit.
I would like to get your permission to stay, because I hesitate if it's okay if I stay, because what you're talking is interesting for me.
Yeah, that's fine. Just if you have, like, if you go like, gosh, this is total nonsense, maybe say something, or maybe say something or ask, you know, so that you're not getting wrong ideas here. And I have to prepare like this. Everybody can stay as long as you want. Everybody can have whatever ideas you have, you can keep. This is fine. I just wanted to warn you a little bit, and also the others, because the next few verses can be when you have very low self-esteem and you go into this whole thing about, I'm bad, I can never do anything, and it's absolutely not helpful, these next few verses. This is why, you know. And Bodhichitta is a very, very high ideal. And we talked about this last time. You remember? I said, having high ideals is good. But if you become slave of your high ideal, it will destroy you. And it will destroy you, especially if you fake that you are already kind of living what your ideal is, but you don't, because then you can't look at your mistakes anymore that you're making, because it's too painful. Yeah, and then you fall into a big gap. It's a big gap of like being who you are and, wanting to be somebody else, faking that you are already that somebody else, and then starting to hate yourself. And then there's this whole thing about joy and self-confidence is already in the cellar. So it's not working. So it will destroy you. So Buddhism is always about kind of middle way. And the nice thing about Buddhism is everybody can have their own opinion. And this is actually what the Buddha encouraged. Please, whatever he said, not me, but he said, whatever I'm saying, please check it if it has any value for you. And then, of course, because if you're already full of low self-esteem and you think you can never get anything right, the verses that we're going to look at today, they're absolutely not helpful. So you need to also know, okay, when to apply what. So kind of you become your own doctor with the whole chemist store of the Buddha's teachings, where you have to find the wisdom what to apply when. And this you can see, for example, with the gurus. Maybe now they also change a little bit because they got to get to know us Westerners in a better way. When you are living in a spiritual community and you have the fortune, maybe the Lama is with you or the guru is with you, and you have somebody who totally behaves like off, self-concern, and then you have this wish, because we just had the situation here in Switzerland, and you have this wish for the guru to take this person and say, hey, look, what you're doing is wrong, blah, blah, you have to change because you're destroying the community like this. Already 3 people left because of you. They never do that. And this is a good thing to know, by the way. They only give us the teachings, and then we have to figure out how to apply it. So it was very difficult for the people who got hurt by this other person, that the guru didn't say anything. So then I started to explain to them, they never do that. They can't do that because also they have equanimity. So they're not going to go to somebody and say, hey, look, you have to behave like this. So we have to then figure out, what to do. And this is it. Also with the teachings, when it's something that goes in and, we like to hear when we have success and when we do it the right way, then we like to hear it, and we like to hear the teachings. But when it is kind of pointing out the mistakes that we're making, like the verses that come now, we're not so happily looking at it, right? So I have a very clear example of this. At one point, a couple came to see me, and they had problems with each other. And so I listened to him, and then I listened to her, or the other way around. If I wouldn't have known that they speak about the same problem, I wouldn't have guessed that they talk about the same situation, because it's her fault, and it's his fault. So I was trying to, because they were both sitting in the teachings afterwards. So I was trying to give them some tools how to work with it. And at the end, both of them came to see me again, but separately. And she said, wow, it's so great what you said, because this is exactly what he needed to hear. And he said, oh, it's so fantastic what you said, because this is exactly what he or she needed to hear. And then I said, but did you hear what you needed to hear? And she said, no, what? See, so this is the problem, so when something feels a bit unpleasant to hear, maybe it's good to check. Why don't I want to listen to this? What am I afraid of? Yeah, so Buddhism is kind of a vehicle where we need a lot of awareness. This is why we always stress awareness and self-honesty to see where we are, kind of reality check, and to be able to do a reality check without destroying ourselves. Yeah, and always, 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 always think about the potential that we have. I could live my values if I work on it. If I kind of get rid of get rid is not a nice word. If I eliminate whatever covers my natural values of goodness and patience and generosity and kindness and openness and connection and all these kinds of things. Is that okay for everybody, or does anybody want to say something? Otherwise, we go to the text. So I assume that's okay. Otherwise, even if we do screen sharing, you want to say something, open up your microphone. Feel totally free to open up your microphone and say something. So we were having this. Yeah, Tina.
Do you say that precondition is that if you want to develop bodhicitta, you have first to love and accept yourself?
Yeah. Yes, to see that you have the potential. To have some faith and some trust that I can become a fully awakened being. Now, again, maybe since you are asking this question, we have to ask the question, what is a fully awakened being? Is it something very mystical, very exotic, whatever? Is that a fully awakened being?
No.
So what is it?
I think that you realize how you are, and to realize where you are and how you are and what's going on without judgment, and look at it in an honest way, I think, with courage.
Yeah, okay, but it's not awakened yet, right? This is just being a very good spiritual practitioner. I'm talking about the Buddha. Buddha means awake. We are dreaming and we mistake the dream for reality, and we don't see the possibilities that we have. If you have a lucid dream, oh, I could see your son going behind you. Nice. Can you come and say hi?
רוצים שתגיד שלום. אמרו.
לא, okay. Okay. Enjoy your meal. בתיאבון.
בתיאבון אמרו לך צח.
Mom cooked it with a lot of love for you.
Yes, yesterday he finished his first course as a command.
Okay.
איך אומרים? So one eye was glad and the other one was crying for him.
Of course. Yeah. Of course. Okay, so I give you the definition of a fully awakened being. It's not from me, it's from Tsongsa Khyentse Rinpoche. I think he was teaching on the Heart Sutra or something, when he said, an awakened being. Okay, so Netta just sent me an email, which I can see on my tablet here. And she says she has a COVID situation. So an awakened being is the only being that is normal. Can you imagine? So when you become a Buddha, it's the only way to become normal. Normal in what way? Normal not because it's the norm. Maybe natural is a better way. Because you see, when we are relaxed, when we're happy, this natural wish to be of benefit is there, and it doesn't need much effort to reach out to somebody who needs help. And there's no self-concern behind and goes, oh, I don't have time, or oh, I don't know what will happen, maybe they exploit me, or maybe this will never end, or blah, blah, blah. They just do. Yeah, whenever they can help, they don't choose this one yes, that one no, or whatever. They help. And one part of what you said is totally right. They see who they are, like they see reality as it is, right? So there is zero wish to be of harm to anybody. The same way, I think most comparable is a parent. A parent can get angry at their children, but they don't have the wish to harm them. They still have the wish to be of help and that they're happy, but you can be angry at them, yes, definitely. But it goes very, very quickly. And the anger only comes actually when you see that your anger at your children is almost a bit because you want to protect them. Yeah, when they're not doing the right things. I think, I don't have children, I assume that it's a bit like that. So a Buddha is somebody who sees reality as it is, doesn't add anything, doesn't take anything away from it, has absolutely no self-concern, and knows how to help. This is another thing, has the capacity and the skills knowing how to help others. Has, all the negative emotions totally gone. And by negative emotions, again, can somebody give me the definition of a klesha, of a nyurmong? Because what we sometimes think is negative emotion is not negative emotion. It just feels unpleasant, that's all. And not everything that feels pleasant is a positive emotion. Why are these emotions called negative? Like anger, attachment, jealousy, greed, arrogance, what else? Miserliness.
Because they prevent us from seeing things clearly.
One thing, yeah.
And also because it makes us look at the other, either they are better than us or less good than us.
Mm-hmm. They distort
equal to us. They are not equal to us.
Okay, they distort reality, that's one thing. They don't see clearly, they distort reality. That's a very good explanation. One thing, and they exaggerate. Not only, they don't see clearly, but they exaggerate. They either take something away or add something. And the worst is we get out of control. The stronger they get, the less we are what we want to be. They, instead of us being able to control them, they control us. Yeah. So the definition kind of, it makes the mind disturbed and unsubdued, and it distorts and exaggerates reality. This is the definition of nyurmong and kleshas. And then, of course, the danger is then we act. So we act upon an illusion. And then we create karma. And then this is why these actions that we do under the control of negative emotions lead to suffering, something comes back that we don't like. Yeah. So this is why they're called negative, because they lead to suffering, they lead to pain. Whereas when it's called positive emotion, they lead to free from suffering. Okay. So for example, in ancient translated Buddhist texts, when you look at the 11 positive mental factors, Why are they positive? Because they lead to enlightenment. Okay, whenever we do with these mental factors, then they get us closer to enlightenment. So the first, I think the first one, faith. The first one is faith. Trust in what? In our Buddha potential. A little bit like Dina said, to accept ourselves the way we are, but knowing that underneath all this crap and all this dirt, there is pure gold, which is our natural spaciousness, goodness, and intelligence. Okay? And so we need to have this trust. Then the next two ones, they used to be translated into shame and embarrassment. Wow. When Western people already hear this and they think that this is a positive emotion, they go like, what? You know. So we changed it into shame is integrity, and embarrassment, we changed it into consideration for others. So in what way do these two mental factors, are they different? So shame was something that you would never do, even if you're alone, right? For example, you know, I would never kill on purpose something, even if nobody is looking, even if I'm alone, you know. I mean, this also, I only do this since I'm a Buddhist, that I don't kill anything, not even mosquitoes or ants or whatever, on purpose, yeah. If my robes are full of fleas and I have to go and see a friend, then I have to do something, and I have to wash the robes before I go. But this is not on purpose, you know, with killing. So that's shame, that you would never do this, even when you are alone. So that's integrity, it's called, living your values. And the other one is embarrassment, is you do things sometimes when you're alone, but you don't do them out of consideration for others. So that's embarrassment. So these two mental factors, they're not pleasant. And also the mistake that we are making, we are applying them like shame and embarrassment. Once we have done the action, then it's too late. So integrity and consideration for others, you have to apply before you do the action. Then they become positive, because why? Because they give you the strength not to do the action. You see what I mean? So positive, you know, positive mental factors, they lead to full awakening. The negative ones, they lead to suffering. This is why they're called negative, not because they're bad or whatever. Yeah. So not everything that looks or feels like anger is anger, because in the definition of anger in Buddhism is what? What's the main, what makes anger anger when you look at the Buddhist definition?
Wanting to harm somebody?
Exactly. This is it, the wish to harm. You know, sometimes we get frustrated and then we use that first energy, but then when we start to act, we have to let go of that energy because it's too strong. Yeah. And you can see that it was anger when you don't want a person to be happy. That also, you know. So it's not just to, sometimes we use this very strong energy to protect ourselves or to protect others. But in order to protect ourselves also, we don't care whether we harm the other or not. So it's very complicated, this whole thing. Yeah, to see. So better to react with a calm mind than with anger, with this very strong, with this strong energy, because very quickly it can go out of control. And you're the only one who knows whether it's anger or not. Nobody else can know, you know. And so this is also where we have to be honest. So we have this potential to attain full awakening, and we want to get there. Why? Because we want to be of benefit to others, and to be of benefit to them, to guide them or to lead them to that state. Yeah, so bodhicitta has these two factors. We feel the natural need or want, wish, aspiration to be of benefit to others, not to harm them. None of us has a spontaneous wish to harm others. There might be some people who have this, yeah, but it's not us. So. And then we see that at the moment we're pretty helpless because we can't even help ourselves when we are depressed or frightened or jealous or whatever. So then we understand. So these are now the next versions, the next verses, and these next verses, I said last time, is to put some steam under our bum, yeah, so that we kind of get going, or into our Dharma machines, if you want. So the supports when working for the sake of living beings are aspiration, steadfastness, joy, and rest, or moderation. Aspiration is developed through fear of misery. You know, the fear of being again and again and again and again, life after life after life after life. We are never free from our pleasures, from our negative emotions. We take them with us, life after life after life after life. This is why we are reborn under attachment. We're not reborn out of compassion, you know, because, oh, I want to manifest again in a human body because I want to be of benefit to others. We are reborn because I want to exist. This is what activates the seed for our next rebirth, right? So that's self-concern. If at the time of death, you know, we have this maybe fear of not existing anymore, and we think, oh, I want to exist because I want to continue with this Dharma path to become a Buddha, then it goes very much into bodhicitta. So if you can die with the thought of, you know, it doesn't really matter where I'm reborn, but may I be of benefit to others, this is very beautiful. Then you have a good chance to have a rebirth where you can continue with your path. Or if you think, you know, may my death not cause problems and pain to others, that's also a very beautiful thought that you could have at the time of death. But it is now that we need to develop that thought so that it comes spontaneously at the time of death. So aspiration is developed through fear of misery, the misery of creating again and again and again negative karma under the control of our negative emotions, and by contemplating the benefits of aspiration itself. Aspiration is this very strong wish to attain full awakening and to be of benefit to others. So it's only through aspiration that we get the benefits. I mean, the benefits of being free from negative emotions, we all know, but it's with the aspiration of wanting to be free from it that we do the things. So thus, in order to increase my enthusiasm, I should strive to abandon its opposing forces. So here the most opposing force for bodhicitta is a total disinterest of being of benefit to all sentient beings. Yeah, everybody has a wish to be of benefit to some sentient beings. I mean, even Hitler had a dog and he wanted this dog to be happy. So this we all have, but it's very, very limited. Okay, so bodhicitta is the wish to be able to be of benefit to all sentient beings, to have this total equanimity. So to amass the supports of aspiration, self-confidence, joy, and rest, to practice in earnest and becoming strong in self-control. So these are factors that are, you know, that kind of get us going on the path. I don't really know why he, you know, here at the beginning, he only has 4. Here he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he added 2. So maybe, you know, there's some kind of sub branches. Like aspiration very much goes with self-confidence, or self-confidence also comes with steadfastness. If we give up again and again and again and again, self-confidence will not grow. Yeah, so you need some steadfastness to have self-confidence. When you see that you can do it, then joy comes. Rest is very important. You know, you need to have the wisdom not to overdo it. practiced in earnest, not just to please others because you're, oh, I'm a Buddhist. It's very popular at the moment, since a few years, and to become strong in self-control. And self-control is difficult and it hurts when we have, when we see we have like habits that are not helpful on this path, and we have to say no. It hurts for a while, but then when the desire is gone, then it's okay, then you feel good. So I shall have to overcome the boundless faults of myself and others. So why are we not enlightened? Because we suffer from many faults that we are making, especially not seeing reality as it is, of myself and others. So it's not just I don't want to overcome my own faults. I don't just want liberation for myself, but I also want to liberate all sentient beings. So then now he's kind of bracing himself by saying, I may have to strive until an ocean of eons is exhausted. Like this wish to guide everybody to full awakening. Come on, this is going to last a long time. You'll probably not be out of a job for a long, long, long time. As Shantideva's, that verse, you must all have heard it. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, for that long will I too remain, to relieve the suffering of all beings. So that means then as a bodhisattva, instead of just going into nirvana, where your mind is perfect peace and all this, you come back again and again and again and again. For example, in a human body, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who goes through the pains of being born, being a baby, growing up, and now growing older. Yeah. So you have to be prepared as a bodhisattva you have to be prepared as a bodhisattva to go into groups where there's constant disharmony. For example, spiritual groups. It's not just that, yeah, but sometimes it's really difficult because everybody takes their ego to their spiritual practice, So you have to be prepared, and the only ego that you can leave at home is your own when you go into a group. Have you ever had clashes in spiritual groups? Come on, be honest. Me, yes, definitely, many. But we're still friends in a way, because then one works with it. Gachin Rinpoche said very nicely at one point, you see the difference between usual worldly groups. When people clash, it's like two porcelain cups kind of clashing together. If it's Sangha, spiritual practitioner, it's like two wooden cups clashing together. It makes noise, but then the cups don't break. So this is how we should look at conflicts. That yes, it makes noise, and yes, it is unpleasant, and yes, everybody has their ego, and but at least the cups don't break. Do you see the difference?
Yes.
So have you had problems with other people in your Dharma group, in your spiritual practice group?
No.
No?
I don't know. Usually, we are so. It's a place we try not to.
Dina, sorry, and now I'm going to stop you. If you didn't have any problems, you just say no. That's it. Okay.
No.
So Dina never had any problems with other spiritual practitioners. I have to say, you're very lucky.
We had in our Sangha, but we are enough friends of each other, like
exactly,
almost like a family, that we can solve them.
Yeah, you are the wooden cups. You're not the porcelain cups. But don't start a spiritual practice by thinking that the spiritual group is always, everybody is considerate about everybody. They never hurt each other. They always do what I want them to do. If you go with these expectations, you will be disappointed very quickly. And also, we very often, like when it says here, we're quite ready to help, isn't it? But then if it is, we have expectations, you know, we have expectations, especially when we invest a lot in helping others, that at least they put some effort into changing, or at least when I need help, that they will help me. Now, again, you know, if you think you don't have these expectations, yeah, you're perfect bodhisattvas, but we get discouraged. So when he says here, in order to destroy each of these faults of myself and the faults of others, I may have to strive until an ocean of eons is exhausted. So already now here, he lets go of expectations. He knows it's going to last a long time. It doesn't matter. What matters is that everybody gets free from suffering, because everybody has that potential. Is that clear? Yeah. Then, but if within myself I do not perceive even a fraction of the perseverance required to exhaust these faults, then why do I not have a heart attack? For now I have become an abode of infinite misery. So here he's scolding himself. He's saying, I don't have the enthusiasm that I need. He even says, even a fraction of perseverance I don't have. Like, I don't, at the moment, I don't have the capacity of being able to be of benefit to all sentient beings. Again, not everybody at the same time, but all sentient beings, like without making distinction. So he's asking himself, hey, come on, I have this high ideal of being a Buddha, but I don't see even a fraction that I already have after all these previous lives that I already have. I think it's a little bit about this, like, I've had life after life after life after life, and I'm still here. I'm still not enlightened. So why, you know, why doesn't it disturb me so much that I haven't gone any further towards enlightenment? Why don't I have a heart attack? Because I have become an abode for infinite misery. We're still under the control of suffering and causes of suffering, isn't it? Even though we had lives without beginning, and we're still here. So likewise, I shall have to realize many excellent qualities for myself and others. And in order to attain each of these qualities alone, I may have to acquaint myself with its cause until an ocean of eons is exhausted. So not only it will take a long, 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 long time to get rid of the faults, but it will also take a long time to develop the qualities. So it's interesting because Netta at one point, you remember when we had this discussion? Unfortunately, Netta had to go because she has a COVID situation. So Netta at one point, she said, but if you have realized emptiness, don't you have compassion for all spontaneously? Well, Shantideva here says, you know, you have to develop these qualities. They don't just come like this. Although they are natural components of our mind, and we have them and we can never lose them. Yeah, but still we have to still enhance them, I guess, and make them make them available for everybody. I mean, this is what Shantideva seems to say, and I do trust him that when he says that it's true. So, because here first he says, I have to get rid of all the faults, and then here it says, I have to develop all the qualities of limitless love, limitless compassion, limitless skillful means, how to help others. And this you do with practicing the sixth perfection. So you have to practice these things to be able to have them as a Buddha. And this is what we do now. This is why we practice these six perfections. Yeah, so then a Buddha can do them spontaneously. Here again, he goes into kind of scolding himself, but I have never developed acquaintance with even a fraction of these excellencies. How strange it is to squander this birth I have found by some coincidence. So here he talks about the rarity, about precious human rebirth, as Elisheva at one point was wondering, why isn't everybody practicing the Dharma? You remember? And then we said it's so rare that it's almost like a coincidence, because it needs very, very strong causes to have these 8 freedoms and 10 endowments. Yeah. And we should not waste them. And the more we see that it is rare, the less we will waste it. And the biggest waste is, not to just to lead your life kind of a bit innocent and just work for yourself and for your family and not care so much about others. It's not so terrible. But the worst way of wasting this precious human rebirth is when we harm others. Yeah, this is probably the worst we can do with the good situation that we have. It's like, I don't know, it's like cooking a very good meal, putting a lot of effort into it. Like the precious human rebirth has causes that we have practiced very hard in the past to have this precious human rebirth. So it's like, cooking a very delicious meal and then afterwards not eating it, because we don't have the faith that this situation will bring us to where we want to go. If you don't trust your food, you will not eat it and you will go hungry. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say here. It's going around 7 corners again. Yeah. Like, we have worked very hard to have this precious human rebirth. If we do not use it in order to make progress on this path to enlightenment, because we don't trust our potential. I mean, the only way that people don't practice, I'm not saying Buddhist, the only reason why people are creating a lot of how to say, the only reason why other people harm others without any consideration is because they don't trust their potential of being good people, kind people. They don't trust it. They maybe have never even met it. They never have the opportunity to meet it. They don't see the possibility of being kind, and they are afraid of being kind. They don't see the power of love and compassion. This is why they don't practice it in order to bring it up. Okay, what do you think?
But you're saying, are you saying that the people who do practice, it is because it's a consequence of previous lives and what they did since they were born? Why, okay, if it's so good and you become enlightened, is it wonderful? So why only 13 people are listening to you?
Yeah, because, to me, because I'm not a very good teacher. That's
no, I don't think so. Because everywhere where I go, I mean, maximum I've seen like 200 people in the Dharma Friends, retreats. But most of the time they are like in, I see 25 people, 12 people, 13 people. I don't see 100. In Israel, at least.
Yeah. Well, it depends who is teaching also,
Yeah.
So, of course,
but even when the Dalai Lama came to Tel Aviv, I don't think there were 10,000 people who wanted to listen to him. You know?
There was. I mean, when he was in Munich.
I guess we are lucky, right?
We're not lucky. We have created the causes in past lives, and we have enough trust that we can develop goodness, and it's a good thing to develop goodness. This is what it is. Not many people have.
You think so?
Yes, I do. I definitely think so. What do other people?
No, I don't know. I just think I was lucky. That's all.
Let's see what other people think. Why is not everybody practicing mind training to develop a good heart? Why is not everybody putting real effort into listening to teachings, thinking about them, and then meditating on them? Because what do other people think? Edouard.
It is okay. Something that is easy to do. It's mean that you had every day practice and practice again, and then to understand a little bit more, and then to learn more, and then to practice again. It's not something that comes easy. It's not a speed way of going on.
Do you think it's coincidence?
No, no.
Exactly. You see, when I was teaching at Tushita, we had usually something like 70 people in each course, and we did like, it was always beginners courses, so we introduced the Lam Rim, okay? So out of these 70 people, you had maybe, if you were lucky, one who really said, okay, I'll drop everything, I do practice from now on, even if they would have had the conditions, you know. Many of them said, wow, this is great, this is fantastic. They left Tushita, they went back home, and that was it. And, you know, one course, 10 days, and then they forget. Maybe 10%, slowly, as Dalit was saying, they started maybe looking for a group in their home country. They started to listen to teachings. They started to discuss, and then it became, as you say, then it was gradual. You know, it makes more sense, and your practice becomes much firmer. Many people, even they had Tushita, then in the West, after 3-4 years, they're gone. You don't see them. You don't see them again. When you meet them again, they all regret that they stopped. This is the really funny thing, actually. They all say, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't come to courses anymore, I don't meditate anymore, I don't go to the group anymore. And they don't say, wow, I'm so happy I'm not going to the group anymore. It needs many conditions to be able to practice. Not just outer conditions, but definitely inner conditions. So as you say, Dina, we're not lucky, no, we're fortunate, because when we say lucky, then it sounds a bit like coincidence. But we're very fortunate. This is why now we have the possibility to do it. Now we should do it, because we don't know when death comes and when it will end our practice.
I agree with you. Fortunate is the better word.
Fortunate. And so every morning we wake up, you know, we should go, wow, I'm so fortunate. I trust in my potential to be a good person. I want to be a good person. At the moment, sometimes I'm not, but it doesn't matter. I want to continue with these practices to develop a good heart without any fear of being exploited or people making fun of me or having a bad opinion. Wow, she's such a wimp. She never fights with people or whatever. You know, so a little bit like this, to nourish that potential. Anyway, time is up. Now, homework, what do you want to do? Nourishing your potential. Waking up with the thought, I am so fortunate. How about that? Easy. Don't forget. Try to do these things, because then the joy comes and you see it works. Yeah. Maybe put a sticker on your fridge. You know, and don't go, because then it comes, yeah, but this and this. Like, yeah, okay, this and this and this is also there. But so be realistic. But I have the potential to live in that difficult situation with a calm mind. But for that, I need to practice. You know, talk to yourself, so to encourage you. Would that work as a homework? Yeah, okay.
Very good homework.
Yeah, we should, you know, we should, again, don't dwell on what you can't do. Start to really trust that potential that we have, so that this is the aspiration, so that we want as quickly as possible to be able to live it effortlessly. This is what I like with being a Buddha, you know, it's spontaneous, continuously, and effortless. The same way as effortlessly, I wouldn't, you know, I don't have to think, oh no, I can't kill this person. You know, if there's a small baby, it's not mine, and it screams all the time, and I go like, I can't bear it anymore. I would never think of killing it, right? That comes effortless. I don't do anything negative with my body. It's effortless. I don't even have to restrain myself. Do you see what I mean? I don't steal, I don't kill, and I don't do sexual misconduct. So we can train, but other people have a body where it is not effortless. Either they have to restrain themselves or they do it. Yeah. So then we go on, then, effortlessly kind of subduing the speech, and then at the end, effortlessly subduing the mind. So when we see that with the body, we can do it. We can also train to do it with the speech and with the mind. So trust your potential. What I also wanted to
would it be also a good practice to trust our potential and also say, I want to see how can I be of benefit of others today?
Yeah, for example. Yeah, sure. To see the potential to be of benefit and then wanting to be of benefit. Of course. Also whatever you think is a good practice for you, then please do that. As I said, whatever I say is not written in stone. Just briefly, travel plans. So I think it's totally unreasonable to have any travel plans at the moment, because in Switzerland we have 30,000 new infections every day. They're short on tests because now the schools also have to be tested. Trains are getting cancelled and it keeps increasing. So anyway, I got an email from, I had planned to come on the 12th of January. So I had an email from the airline saying, either you, like last year, before the end of the year, I had to confirm my ticket or to make it an open ticket. So I couldn't confirm it because also Switzerland is on the list of red countries. I read today that they will not have the list of red countries anymore. But traveling at the moment is totally unreasonable because nobody knows where this is going. So I keep it open date. We see what happens. And, I would feel very bad to go and get a PCR test just for traveling when I know people who are sick and they can't get a test or they need the test for the schools and stuff. So I'll stay here.
Annie, did you get the booster?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
But even with the booster, you can get sick. So it's like,
No, you can get infected, but the chance of getting very sick is slim.
Tina, if I am infected, they don't let me in Israel.
Of course.
I can go on the plane.
No,
so
but
it's too complicated. Okay. It's too chaotic. So we just leave it as it is. We see how it develops, and so that's it. So I still owe you a visit. So for the moment, we
wait patiently.
Yeah. So we keep it.
We are fortunate to have you every Wednesday.
Yeah. So we keep it open. Okay. So homework, I'm fortunate, and how can I be of benefit? If so, like this, and I have the potential to be of benefit. Sometimes just smiling at somebody, is benefit. You don't go think you have to save the world. So that's a bit too difficult. Okay. So we dedicate, as we always do, all the positive energy that we have created by doing this practice together, so that everybody starts to trust that their potential of goodness, spaciousness, and natural intelligence. That everybody has the conditions, inner and outer, to work for it. And as much as I can, I want to contribute to that. So that we can all be totally free from suffering and the causes of suffering, which is our potential. It's so stupid. The suffering that we have is based on wrong views. It's like, it's totally not necessary. It's such a waste. Good. So thank you very much. Have a very good week. Don't get sick. Don't kind of, and in the radio now, today they said that they are looking for people who have been working in the health system because they're getting short on people working in hospitals because of either sickness or quarantine. So whoever is already kind of, on a pension or who has given up their job or whatever, but if they have kind of diplomas and knowledge in health system, to please come forward and go and work in the hospital. And I think Israel is going the same way, it looks like it, isn't it? With the increasing. Yeah. So let's hope it's like they say, it will go up very quickly, but then it will go down very quickly also, and that not too much damage is done in the meantime. Okay, so stay safe, be happy, and realize that we're fortunate. Okay.
Oh,
Bye.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you, Anila.
Bye. Thank you, Anila.
Thank you, Anila.
Bye-bye.